Has debate jargon become too much of a chore? Does every round you enter leave you wanting to know more? Well, look no further because one clap is the key. It's time for Professor Graham and Kevin's ABCs. Hello, debaters. Welcome back to another episode of Professor Graham's ABCs of Debate. I'm Professor Graham, here with my pal Kevin, and today the word of the day is going to be link. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First things first, links are hype, and if you don't think that, don't talk to me. For this video, we'll be splitting up into two different concepts, links and internal links. So what is a link? Well, links are typically a focal point of disadvantages and critiques that explain how the AF changes the status quo. Taking an economy DA, for example, the story is that the economy is doing well, the AF wrecks it, and that's bad. So our link here would be that the affirmative wrecks the economy because their advocacy changes the way the world is now. Oh, innocent Kevin, I think you underestimate link debating. Typically, having one generic card that links to any AF to your scary DA isn't particularly convincing. If the affirmative has done their research and has the cards to answer your arguments, they will absolutely be ahead of you on the link debate because they have one of the best arguments in the toolbox, the old "you're not specific enough." This usually manifests itself in the argument, you don't have a specific link, which makes me want to throw up. Instead, the affirmative should say that their generic link card doesn't assume the specificity of the AF's scenario, and then pointing out the distinct differences between what the negative says will cause the DA versus what the AF actually does. Back to Kevin's original question, though, you should have a lot of links, or at least a couple of hyper-developed ones. Instead of saying generically, the affirmative hurts the economy, and reading some card that says that government spending is bad, try to generate as many as you can. Let's take the econ scenario. Maybe one link is your generic one that says the AF hurts business confidence, but maybe you also have evidence that says the affirmative hurts international trade perception, and another that the AF causes job loss. Now you have three different links to prove that their plan would be devastating for the economy. Having more links is almost always a good thing, time constraints aside. The more arguments that you develop and the stronger they are, even if your opponent wins the no link on the business confidence argument, you can always pivot to your other links because they either don't answer them or their answers are much weaker. While obviously it's applicable in all of debate, the link debate is a place where those specifics get to shine. Moving on, I did promise that I'd also explain what internal links are. I think the best way to think about them is just calling them connectors. They do one thing. They connect one argument to another one that you want to make. You're right, the naming is a little confusing, and I understand how link arguments are also connecting arguments in some ways. However, they're usually referenced in two main ways. First, to describe the chain on some disadvantages. Some disadvantages aren't three cards. They can be however long you want them to be. But let's use an example of a four-card DA. Say you have an economy DA. The economy's doing well now, the affirmative puts regulations on businesses that hurts their profits, and that hurts the economy. You'll notice that saying, that hurts the economy, isn't exactly the most impacty argument, and that's because it's an internal link. After you read that third piece of evidence, the world is your oyster in terms of where you want to take your impact. Maybe a hurt economy causes a war between the US and China because our perceived lack of growth means China feels emboldened to strike. Now we have a four-card DA with uniqueness, a link, an internal link, and our impact. But you could go even further. Maybe instead of a US-China war, you want to say that a poor economy hurts our ability to stop climate change, which is one card, and that climate change causes extinction. Now we have a five-card DA that has two internal links, that regulations hurt the economy, and that the economy is necessary to solve for climate change. The second way we refer to internal links is usually to describe the affirmative's pathways to solving certain impacts of theirs. Taking a disease impact from a single-payer healthcare app, for example, maybe the affirmative prevents disease both by allowing more people to have access to healthcare, and they also reduce wait times for people to seek care. Now the affirmative has two internal links to solve for their impacts. Well, that was a lot to learn about links. How are you holding up, Kevin? Cleaner? I hardly know her, dude. Hey, thanks again for watching today's episode of Professor Graham's ABCs of Debate. As always, I'm Professor Graham, and that's my pal Kevin. Yeah, if you ever need any help with debate stuff at all, my email should be right up here. Just make sure you CC your coach. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can with any debate tips that you might need. I'll drop that knowledge on you. Bam. Thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure. See y'all later.